The dead don't hurt under Paris, and Winnie the Pooh's going ride or die for some blood and honey too. I'm Van Connor.
And I'm Adam Ball, and this is Off Screen, your 7-day guide to everything movies.
Boom.
Groovy.
So, hello and welcome back to our weekly Off Screen. Any gossip or anything you'd like to talk about, Van, before we crack straight on with the movies? Is there anything going down that you're excited about?
That I'm excited about. I mean, there's a new Bad Boys movie in cinemas. You know, it's always cause for celebration. I got to see a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, which should have been the worst experience known to man after the first one, but did offer a surprise, which I will save for the review. So, and Paramount this week, apparently they got a new merger offer from Skydance, so it looks like they are still going to be Paramount in years to come. So, yeah, another studio saved. Won't go the way of Fox, it seems, which is nice.
Well, that's always good news. All right, well, we've got 4 movies to talk about today. Under Paris, Bad Boys Ride or Die, and of course Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, that, as Van's already mentioned. But let's start with a Western, The Dead Don't Hurt, in cinemas from today. Where do you want to start with this then, Van?
Okay, so this is written by, directed by, starring, and featuring a score by Viggo Mortensen. Remember Aragorn from Lord of the Rings? Vicky Morts? Yep, Viggo Mortensen. He's back.
That's a lot of overtime.
That's a lot of overtime. This is his second directorial effort after 2020's Falling, which I didn't get to review at the time, and I really need to look up still to this day. And so this is, as you say, a Western, but it's more of a drama that's sort of set in the Old West. This is in the colonizing period, you know, the sort of ranch hand kind of era of the American West. He is, you know, grizzled old solitary man. He meets, you know, grizzled older solitary girl. They fall for one another. They get married. He decides to go off to war to basically earn more of a living for them, and leaves her to basically run the homestead in his absence. It then follows the story of what happens upon his return. So you get different stages of their lives told as effectively separate stories with this through line of this biographical element. I've got a clip for you. I believe this is Viggo Mortensen basically saying, I'm going to go.
I'm not going to take a job.
Because of my job?
Because I'm thinking about enlisting.
Thinking about it?
I'm going to take the $100 bounty and volunteer for the army. They might pay even more because of my previous military experience.
Why? Why? This is not your problem. This is not your country.
It is now. It's not just about money. It's the right thing to do, fighting against slavery. Those who can should.
I can't watch anything set in the West now without just immediately thinking of Westworld whenever I see the sets.
It'd be a very different movie if it turns out that Vicky Morts is an artificial person. I can tell you that much. I really enjoyed this. So it's a bit of a bum number at 2 hours 9, but you kind of expect it to be a longer film with it being a Western anyway. You expect something of more of a language pace because we associate those with Westerns, be they action-driven ones or more dramatically focused ones. This one is more of a dramatically driven character piece that's really less about the cowboy element. There is some gunplay involved, but it's not that kind of a film. It looks terrific. It's the cinematography by Marcel Ziskind, I believe, who did a film I'm quite fond of, The Killer Inside Me, years ago with Casey Affleck, which is a truly horrifying film, but really great looking and brings a lot of that same kind of that unique eye here. The man knows how to shoot a sandstorm, let's just say. A gust of sand, oh, he's in his element. But I really liked the interplay between Viggo Mortensen and Vicky Krieps here as our lead, as the couple. Even though they don't really get the bulk of the screen time together, they only get like kind of really 2 pockets together, and then they're left to carry the movie solo. Separately besides that. And I would argue that her element of the movie fares better than his, in that her story feels fresher. It feels like something not really covered in these kind of stories that often. It feels a little bit of that sort of the woman left behind to war kind of thing, and the life that she's left to sort of both build and fend for at the same time. And the way this is all structured, I can't for the life of me just this is an actor making a movie, right? So this happens.
Right, yeah.
This happens every now and again, and usually you think to yourself, well, because obviously they came across that one story one day that they were reading in their person's time. They thought, oh my God, this is it. This is the story I have to tell. You know, and that's how a lot of these movies, come to the screen. Now, this is an original story from Viggo Mortensen, and I was sat there through this thinking, this is really good. Yeah, I like this. But where's this come from? Was this burning away inside? This particular story was burning away inside Viggo Mortensen. He thought, I have to tell the world this story. It's like Bradley Cooper and Marshall. This is the story I absolutely have to tell the world. Except this one, I'd argue, is slightly more essential. It's just so much more random, so much more. You came up with this all on your own, and it's just such a weird choice. You're a dark and weird man. I love the hell out of it. Please do more of it.
Were there any other actors in here that are well known or that you would recognise?
That you would recognise? No, I would say Garrett Dillahunt. He's someone that you'd recognise a lot in there, I think, as well. I'm trying to remember who it was that played the mayor of the town. Danny Houston is the mayor of the town as well, because at different points, Viggo Mortensen does serve as the town sheriff. And there's some non-linear stuff in there as well. There's some time jumping. It's a fascinating sort of Western set drama, just about this couple separated by time and the lives that they lead, and basically how the family functions as one member leaves and then returns. Do check this out. This is actually surprisingly compelling. I think you'll be impressed if you stuck this on, Adam, how into it you got sucked and how you would not notice that it's been 2 hours and 9 minutes by the time you were done. It's genuinely interesting enough. But like I say, because it's split between different actors having their own set pieces effectively, I think Vicky Krieps fares slightly better in her story than Viggo Mortensen does.
Okay, well, if you want to check it out, you can, because The Dead Don't Hurt is out in cinemas from today. So is the next movie we're about to talk about, and I remember you bigging this up last week. So, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Are sequels always worse than the original? Well, we're about to find out. We'll see what Van thought next. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen. Let's dive straight into our next movie, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. So there was a little bit of laughter and jokes going on at the end of last week's Off Screen when you were kind of alluding to the fact that you think it's going to be a load of rubbish. So I'll let you take it from here, Van.
Right, you asked me. Okay, you said just before we went off mic on the last block, you said, is the sequel always better, right? And my friend, I'm here to tell you that compared to the first Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, this thing is basically The Godfather 2. Okay, at the side, this is basically Aliens. This thing is so much better than the first. It's still complete garbage. I'm still going to caveat that, but it's still so much better than the first one. Okay, so that's that out the way. Right, okay, I've been sitting on that for a few days. I need to get it out. It's still garbage, but it is light years, galaxies apart from the absolute dumpster fire that was the first one, which basically played like a trash student film. Right, so let's take this back a step. Okay, so you might remember last year, January 1st, the copyright lapsed on Winnie the Pooh. And the whole thing was the race to the screen, who can do the first Winnie the Pooh trash horror film. Of course, because that's just what happens when the rights become, available. We're going to see this again with Mickey Mouse very, very soon as well, because Steamboat Willie happened this year. And there's loads of things that are now because they're out of copyright, now being turned into horror movies. We are now getting the Twisted Childhood universe, a shared universe of these monsters, of which this is the second chapter, but really the first proper one. Okay, so the last one, as I say, was just rushed out. It was in cinemas within a couple of months of the copyright dropping. It was already in production, obviously, but it was, just for all intents and purposes, like a cheap student film. You know what I mean? It looked like the sort of the video that you saw. You've ever been to like a Screen Park or a Stranger Things immersive experience or something like that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. It's got that sort of that look about it.
Yeah, it played like the pre-recorded videos that they put on for things like that. It was absolute garbage. It was complete rubbish. It was cheap, exploitative trash. Kermode and I had the greatest time just sat there heckling it in the Prince Charles. It was phenomenal. There's another guy with us, never got his name. We had a barrel of laughs. Anyway, I sat down for this, just expecting more of the same. And, right. So, plot this time around is basically the first movie was a movie. It was a movie that was released about the events that befell Christopher Robin, who has now returned to the town of Hundred Acre Woods, having been trained to be a doctor. He'd gone off to uni. The creatures had gone. Winnie the Pooh and his friends had gone rabid in the forest. Okay, these nice, benign creatures that he'd left behind. He'd gone to college. They'd gone on a rampage. That became the movie. Okay, he's now returned to the town. Nobody believes him. He's seen as an outcast. However, because the townsfolk have started pushing deeper and deeper into the 100-acre woods to flush out these creatures, they themselves have started edging closer and closer towards the town. So their killing spree begins anew with a newly adult set, a sort of adult-sized Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Tigger, and Owl, who are, in this case, truly out for blood and honey. Have a listen to this. Is them deciding on their newfound mission statement.
They're close. Closer than they've ever been. Pooh, Ashdown views our existence as a plague, as horrors of the 100-acre wood, an evil which they created. They will never cease their hunt for us. We trusted Christopher. You can never trust them ever again. It's time to decide.
I've got to say, as soon as I heard his voice then, do you know the first thing I thought of? Do you remember this? I'll get you, Gadget.
Next time, Gadget. Yeah.
Yes. So whose voice was that? Who was that?
That was the voice of Owl. You could also hear Piglet in that clip. You never trust them, never know that's Piglet. Obviously, this is dark and brutal and twisted, but obviously the first one was, and it's nasty trash like the first one was. Thing is, though, they have attempted, at least this time, to make a film. And hats off to them. Do you know what? At least there's effort involved in this. Like I say, light years better than the first one. The first one was like a 1-star movie. This one still averages out at like a 2-star film. But there are moments when you so gleefully get into just how sadistic and kind of enjoyably self-referentially by the numbers it is, that you could see it pushing into early 3-star territory. Like, do you know what? I'll go along with this. It's perfectly fun. The makeup designs are improved as well. For instance, it's not just a dude in a Winnie the Pooh mask now. It's actually got some creature design to it to an extent. I was a little bit let down by the introduction of Tigger, who I think is meant signposts as if he's the big new added value element, but the design is so close to Pooh himself that he doesn't really quite work. The CG tail seems a bit forced. But look, I wanted a schlocky horror movie in which, the battered, what's his name, Scott Chambers, he was in Chicken, I believe, and the Dr. Jekyll, the Hammer Dr. Jekyll movie, in which the battered, Scott Chambers, with a fractured arm, limps into the rain, carrying a torch, yelling, "Boo! Boo! I'm here for you." I wanted that. That's all I wanted out of a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. This basically, by referencing the first movie as just being a movie and cancelling it out effectively, works as a sort of one and done. So this is perfectly fine. Like Friday night, we've ordered the pizzas. It's you and the guys, kind of, you're cracking open the beers, got some crap on the telly kind of thing, and something that you can talk through but still zone into for 5 minutes here and there. And the kind of movie I'm on about.
No. I was thinking of this.
Oh. No, but it's that. It's
I was watching the trailer.
No, it was perfect for this. Like, this is perfect for just put your feet up on the coffee table with the guys on Saturday night or Friday night. Just order the pizzas in or the kebabs in, and just chatter through. It's definitely one of those broing out movies. You're never going to take this as a serious horror film because it's not that well made, although it's infinitely better made than its predecessors. And, it's going to find a sort of sleepover crowd with like 15-year-olds who like just want to see what the fuss is about and inevitably be disappointed. It's that and nothing more. Like I say, light years better than the first, still a 2-star film, but it edges faintly into the lower 3 stars just on the fun factor at times, just because it's nasty and violent. Pooh sticks a man in an oven and sets him aflame. You know what I mean? It's one of those. I'm down for this kind of fun.
You said it's not like a mask this time. So is there CGI in this, or is it all just costume?
It is all costume and like makeup. It is still like it does still look like a dude in a mask, but there's actual like makeup effects around the eyes and things. So it doesn't just look like a human being has put a Pooh mask on. Like that was the first one. The first one was so bad. I don't think you appreciate how truly terrible the first Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey is. Like just honestly, just effort. It's amazing how much a difference effort makes. Like bare minimally competent effort makes the world of difference in this case. Just seriously.
It sounds like it's a movie to be shown in prisons all around the UK.
Absolutely that, yeah.
All right, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, out in cinemas from today. Okay, we're on to what I would call the big one from this week, Bad Boys Ride and Die, which is out in cinemas. It came out on Wednesday, I think, didn't it, Van, or is it out on today?
Yeah, this one came out on Wednesday this week.
I thought so. Well, we'll see what Van thought of it in just a second. Stay where you are. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. Let's move swiftly on to our next movie, and they are back. Will Smith, Martin Lawrence. It is, of course, Bad Boys Ride or Die. In my eyes, it's the big movie of this week, but that's not up to me to decide. It's up to you, Van.
Well, I don't know. I think it's up to the marketing department to decide it's the big movie of the week, because you can't move for ads and everything on it. And rightly so. I mean, to be fair, the Bad Boys movies have always been pretty popular. I mean, there's been asterisks over the last one. It was the highest grossing like live action film of 2020, but it was like the only one that got released prior to the lockdowns and COVID. So it kind of won the year, by default. But it made a pretty sizable amount of money in the limited time it had. And obviously, Bad Boys 1 was a hit in 95. Bad Boys 2 was a mega hit in 2003, I think it was. And then obviously 2020 for the third one. So Bad Boys Ride or Die is the second one in a row that's directed by Adil and Bilal, they are credited as. And they are Adil Al-Arbi and Bilal Fallah, I believe. They are the directors. They directed the last one of these. They'd also done the Ms. Marvel series in the meanwhile for Disney Marvel Plus, and they are pretty decent action directors, to be fair. There's another one that's on my watch pile that's supposed to be incredible. So the story this time around is Mike and Marcus are back, and this time the captain, who you might remember, did you see the last one? Did you see Bad Boys for Life, the third one?
Do you know what? I don't think I got round to seeing it. I remember wanting to see it, but I don't think I saw it, no.
Apologies for a spoiler then for the third one, but for the purposes of this one, it's kind of integral. So the captain, played by Joe Pantoliano, Captain Howard, Joey Pants, was killed in the last one. On a rampage that seemed to have been perpetrated by Will Smith's then adult son, who is also then a part of the plot. Now, he is then, from beyond the grave, accused of being corrupt and being in bed with various organizations and cartels. And by having been drawn into this investigation, the captain's name being dragged down so thoroughly, Mike and Marcus find themselves being implicated in his crimes as well, and forced to go on the run with Mike's previously incarcerated son, whilst they are also hunted for, Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive style, by Captain Howard's adult daughter, played by Rhea Seehorn from Better Call Saul, who is Conrad Howard's daughter. You've also then got an evil assassin played by Eric Dane, who will stop at nothing to find the three of them first, up to and including hunting their families along the way. Have a listen.
We got two suspects, Lowry and Burnett.
You set the damn van on fire!
Everybody relax. The fire's on the outside. Now it's on the inside.
Y'all are some terrible fugitives.
Put a bounty on them. They'll have it coming from cops.
Cartel. And every gang in the city. The bounty is dead or alive.
Now I take the 3 in the front, you take the 6 in the back. Oh, no, you not. These dirty cops attacked our families. We're not losing today.
And I'm assuming that this is jam-packed full of explosions, car chases, bike chases, fights, knives, guns, and everything else between.
Everything in between, sir. Absolutely. You left out some helicopters in there and some planes, and there's a whole plane sequence. Yeah, there's everything in between. There's some really inventive action stuff in it. Actually, there's a particularly notable trick in a gunfight where they actually mount the cameras to the gun and actually have them like flinging handguns to one another, and the camera literally stays on the gun as it flies through the air and zips between one another's hands and things like that. Some quite nifty ideas. And I will never for 1 second believe that these two guys made a Batgirl movie that is unreleasable. So this kind of undoes Warner Brothers' little line on that one. But good fun. It is the most weightless of the four by quite a wide mile. In that way that it does take the series up to kind of where Lethal Weapon 4 got that franchise. You know, the tonal leap between the first Lethal Weapon and the fourth one. Like, they started out as one kind of movie and they wound up as something very, very different. I think we are there. We're there with Bad Boys. Most definitely. We're definitely at the same sort of candy-coated, sugary version of what came before. And in terms of I don't know if that's the age and the softening of the characters, but there's a cartooniness that's been added this time around with like trips to the afterlife and things like that, and this weird spiritual crisis for Marcus, and characters who seem to be added to their lives almost as obligations. Like, there's a new love interest for Mike who really does feel like she just the algorithm generator that she needed to be there. You know, why? You add nothing to this plot. Like, literally not a thing. They kind of gave up on Mike having a love interest in the last one, and it was fine to an extent, but it just didn't need to be there in this. And having said that, I did see this with a crowd that obviously had grown up as fans of the series, and there were certain like fan servicey elements, rather like what Lethal Weapon did. You know, as it went on, like Lethal Weapon would make Leo more of a thing, for instance, part of the action, things like that. You get something like that, for instance, with like, I don't want to name characters, but more, characters come more into the fray a bit more who've been supporting previously. And this is not really a deep mythology, so you can probably piece this one together. But yeah, good fun. Nothing revelatory. Like I say, the silliest, most weightless of all four of them. I would argue it's the worst one, but it's still a cut above most, action. Cut above your standard Kevin Hart action comedy, put it that way. I'd rather see this I'd rather see a billion of these than another Kevin Hart actioner, or another Dwayne Johnson action comedy. Like, this at least feels closer to what you or I would call an authentic, old-school 80s, 90s action flick. This at least is somewhere closer in line to it, and I can go with it. I will say, as far as, the pair goes, do you still have much faith in Will Smith as a movie star? Would you still turn up to a new Will Smith movie?
Yeah, I mean, I just think everything he touches turns to gold. Like, I mean, you're probably going to, come up with the answer to this, but I can't really name a bad movie, a really bad movie that Will Smith has been in. Cue Van Connor.
Oh, buddy. Oh, I want your life. I want your life where you've never seen Collateral Beauty. Oh, you've never sat through You poor lamb. The world must seem so vast and full of promise to you.
Is it that bad?
You've never had the Legend of Bagger Vance experience, have you? Ah.
Nope. And I'm going to keep it that way.
I'm trying to think what else there would be that you toss that way. I hated The Pursuit of Happiness, £7, After Earth. Oh my God, After Earth sucked. But there's been some turkeys in there. And the less said about Martin Lawrence's filmography. Martin Lawrence pretty much only has the Bad Boys movies. Like, he really, this guy at this point is just being kept alive for Bad Boys movies. Because what the hell is he starring in otherwise? Like, nothing. And this is a guy was on Will Smith's doorstep the day after the slap, being like, come on, we've got a fourth one we could do. I
want a new house.
Yes, I need to pay for my current house. Can we,
I'm watching the trailer as I normally do, kind of muted as we're chatting, and there's a bit in there that just was bizarre, where the pair of them are looking at the camera as if it's a Ring doorbell. I have no idea what that's about.
The handgun. That's the handgun thing. That they literally go through a gunfight like that and then throw the gun to one another. It's a fun sequence. Takes a minute.
I can understand. Yeah. I get that now. I get that. But no, I mean, it looks and sounds, like you say, a decent action movie, but not the best.
Not the best. And I will say, it does have one of my favourite things that all movies should have, which is you have to, on your opening titles, rather like the previous one of these do, feature the line starring Khaled, DJ Khaled, Khaled. And then have DJ Khaled appear. I just love the fact that DJ Khaled's name is Khaled, DJ Khaled, Khaled. That is an amazing name. I mean, dumb luck for a middle name, DJ Khaled, because it worked out for him. But DJ Khaled does reappear in this. I love that DJ Khaled's a part of the freaking Bad Boys universe. That's mental. That's like remembering that Ja Rule is part of the Fast and Furious verse. It's nuts. I love it. More of that, please.
Well, if you want to watch it, you can, because it's already out. It came out on Wednesday in cinemas. Bad Boys, Ride or Die. Right, we've got one last ride for you this week on Off Screen. We're going to look at Under Paris, which is on Netflix already. We'll see what Van thought about it in just a minute. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen. One last ride for you then, and we are heading straight to the age-old genre of an action horror shark movie by the name of Under Paris. Another shark movie, Van?
I know, right? Oh, the long storied history of sharks in cinema. I mean, to be fair, blockbuster cinema literally began with a monster shark movie, so we kind of have to respect them and keep paying attention to the subgenre. And this one's actually a pretty decent one. So, new movie from Xavier Gens. Okay, so horror master extraordinaire. This is called Under Paris. It is new on Netflix, and it stars Bérénice Bejo from The Artist. Remember, she was the love interest in Best Picture winner The Artist 13 years ago. And she is Sophia, who at the start of the movie is a scientist who's just been cataloguing, local sharks and how they've been affected by climate change and ocean pollution, only for her entire team, whilst on an underwater excursion, to be attacked by an unexpectedly large, previously thought perfectly normal shark. 3 years later, that shark reappears in Paris, swimming down the Seine, and it's not alone. And she has to convince the local authorities to take her seriously and deal with it. But Paris is about to hold the triathlon. So effectively, the mayor from Jaws there, who's a lady in this version, won't close the beaches, albeit bridges in this case, so that they can deal with the shark threat. It is literally Jaws in Paris, and Alan Jones has already taken the best gag I could possibly make this. That means the movie, yes, is feasibly capable of being called Shark de Triomphe. Oh, I know. God damn, Alan beat everyone to that one. Okay, fair play.
Why is it set in France, though? Is there anything that adds to the movie from that, or is it just because it's a French producer, director, writer?
It's a French movie with a French cast, French script, characters are French, and it's... I should mention, I played this on Netflix. They put this on the special content row on Netflix for me, right? The preview content, that's what they call it. And I put it on, and it auto-sets... I presume it does this with all films, because it auto-set to this really bad English dub. I was like, no. This will not do. This will not do at all. So it was pause, switch it back to French, put the subtitles back on. Had to be done. And I will say that was absolutely how the movie had to be enjoyed, because that English dub was truly god-awful. This was a really fun movie, though. So the crack here is that the shark is using the catacombs below Paris. There's all the catacombs that there's miles of them beneath Paris. Some of them have water and etc. So you get this sort of haunted house maze-like kind of element to it at the same time, with these cathedral-like spaces, and it's very fun. It plays proceedings in very much a sort of Deep Blue Sea-like way. Like, it's that sort of kind of playing it straight with just there's a bit of a wink and a nudge, but nothing too silly. So it's played quite straight, and the production value of it sets it apart from what we think of when we go, oh, another shark movie. We're all thinking kind of like Sci-Fi Channel movies and Sharknadoes and things like that. This is nowhere near like, this is a straight shark monster movie with decent production value, some well-realized spaces, some quite inventive like traps. When the sharks are set loose, it's actually done quite in style. There's some knowing sort of jabs thrown at Jaws, for instance, because obviously you have to, especially when you've got a mayor behaving in that way, so that it can't resist with the mayor from Jaws jabs, those kind of things. But yeah, worth watching. I think it is rated like the equivalent of a 15. It's a TVMA via Netflix, which is meant for mature audiences. But I would say, like, your average tween can watch this like without incident. It's not particularly OTT with the gore. There's some severed limbs and things, but they're obviously like fake limbs. You know what I mean?
See, I'm a firm believer nobody can do this like Spielberg. So I must ask, is there anything like, obviously the way he did it with Jaws is you've got the like, is there anything like that in this movie that gives you that a kind of it's on its way, or it's we're going back to the shark now?
No, I mean, this obviously, don't forget as well that this has, this takes, this has been made in, 3 decades into the 21st century. Obviously there is a reliance on CG there that I think does hinder it at times. You do noticeably feel those CG shark shots. They're not perfect kind. Like they're still, like I say, they're a cut above a Sci-Fi Channel thing. Don't get me wrong. This does feel like studio made kind of thing. This is like Shark Night in 2011. This is kind of like on that level, which you've never seen. Is a very fun shark movie from back 2011, 2012. But in terms of making, no one's going to do this like Spielberg ever. That's why even he couldn't do it again. He's a one and done. This is, like I say, going for a very different thing. This is going for more in the region of like Shark Night, Deep Blue Sea, 21st century, play it straight. We know what we're doing here kind of affair.
And I'm assuming you get to see a lot of Paris as well, above ground.
Yeah, it plays with the environment quite nicely. I liked the use of the Parisian catacombs. I thought that was really well done. And I'd never really thought about the sort of relationship between Paris and its waterways before. Because, they obviously have dedicated river police. And those river police are most of our main protagonists. So there's Adil, who's the sort of psychic who goes along with it, who's Nassim Layez. Who I think actually puts in quite an impressive turn. There's something of a good leading man quality, actually. But Berenice Bejo, getting to do the whole Ellen Ripley, look, I told you something's out there, you have to believe me kind of a thing. She does quite well. She never descends too much into the sort of, the shrieking doomsayer at the risk of, seeming incapable or anything like that. She remains quite a level-headed, quite capable professional with it all as well. So I say it works very well. I really liked it. It's got an idiot teenage activist in it, like all these things have to do. And at one point, you do get to see a lot of these borderline communist ocean hippies get munched to death by giant sharks, which is automatically a win in my books. But, yeah.
Right, well, if you want to see Under Paris, you can, because it's already on Netflix. It came out on Wednesday, so jump in. All right, let's first of all do Movie of the Week. I already know the answer is going to be Bad Boys, but I'll let you say it.
Yeah, Bad Boys Ride or Die, which I think that's got to be Film of the Week. I think it's a great experience. I didn't particularly love the movie, but I had a good time watching it. Like, I went with my guys kind of thing, and we had a few drinks and kicked back and watched the new Bad Boys movie, after they'd had a DJ play for us and take loads of pictures. It was, drink cocktails. It was a good time. Yeah, I was down for it, put it that way.
Right, let's look at next week then. Freud's Last Session. It's got something to do with C.S. Lewis, hasn't it?
This is Freud's Last Session. It stars Anthony Hopkins, and he's going to chart the last.
Yes,
the iconic, so the father of psychotherapy. There, we've also got The Moor next week, which is a new horror movie that I don't know that much about. It's got Sophia Laporta in it, but I don't know an awful lot about beyond that. We have also got Hound, which is I believe it's a Casablancan crime drama, like a proper gangster type thing in Casablanca. And obviously the biggie for next week is going to be Inside Out 2, which is Pixar getting cerebral or emotional with us again, depending on how you want to look at it. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a big fan of the first one.
Well, there you go. Loads to look forward to when we return. That is, of course, all we've got time for this week. We will return next week. Until then, I've been Adam Ball.
I've been Dan Connor, and we'll be